I'd probably say the team I'd probably stay away with the most right now would be the Cowboys. Not specifically for the personnel, but it's a team that already knows that would have seen you twice already, and you have to go back down there the following week to see them. I'd probably stay away from there. Even though Gallup's out, I'd probably stay away from the Cowboys just for familiarity standpoint. Then I'd say stay away. Next team would be stay away from the Rams because although the Eagles' offensive line is their strength, I worry about the Rams trying to move Aaron Donald over Nate Herbig and then trying to exploit that matchup because Nate's done a really good job, and Stoutland's going to try to do everything he can to protect it up, but I'm a little bit more worried about that. I think the Eagles actually would do match up decently against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
For the playoffs. You got your Birds 365 guys here, John McMullen, Jody McDonald, and we're joined by our third compatriot, who, between the three of us, he's the only one who probably even had to contemplate changing his plans for this weekend to cancel late night on Saturday. Not McMullen, not McDonald, but Chris Franklin might have had to inform his significant other that, yeah, that plan we had for Saturday night dinner out the window because I got to go down and cover the Eagles against the Cowboys. Chris Franklin, how much does it screw up your week that they flex the Eagles into Saturday night football?
You guys have no idea. I had something planned Saturday, and now that's officially changed now because it looks like we have some football to cover now. Some exhibition style football, it appears like now. So
yeah. How about the NFL? Do they not know they're getting a lot of Gardner Minshew and Cooper Rush in this game? And they're going to put the nation, not only us, Chris, they're going to put the nation through this.
Well, everybody's clamoring to see, Cameron Malvo and Marlon Tuipulotu. The nation is hard for it. Everybody's craving to see them on the defensive line right now. But, it's Eagles. I guess they're looking at Eagles Cowboys, their Cowboys may be trying to get to a 2 spot. The Eagles might be trying to get 6. I'm trying to stretch it to see any type of interesting thing. But
now here's the key. Did you get out? Did you change your plans yesterday? Because of the big snowstorm, you're going to stay overnight.
Yeah, there's a hotel like 10 minutes away from the field, but then I looked at the Weather Channel and looking like, instead of the storm starting like 7, 8, they moved it up to like 3 o'clock. Like, nah, I don't want to get stuck down in Washington. So hauled back up late night, got in time to actually see the rest of the Vikings and Packers game. So, but yeah, I didn't want to.
Another classic affair on Sunday Night Football with Sean Mannion, but we'll start there. You got the feeling Nick was giddy after that game, Chris. He knew what was coming. And if the Eagles pulled their level, they knew San Francisco was going to beat Houston. And they sure as heck knew Aaron Rodgers was going to beat Sean Mannion. They knew they were in the playoffs. That's how it unfolded. We are here. How amazing is this after a 2-5 start?
It's something definitely didn't see coming, especially the way the team looked early on, especially defensively. It seemed like each unit took turns. The defense completing 75, 80%, allowing 75%, 80% completions, whether it's the offense coming back and sputtering, but it's click. I mean, we've heard about Rodney McLeod and that plane ride back from Las Vegas, and it looked like it actually worked because now all of a sudden we're talking playoff football, and you have to give credit to Nick Sirianni and the job that he was able to do, keeping his team together. I love how he got my line for the plant analogy, and I like he's taking the shots back, going with the plants and talking to flowers and everything. But you could tell from that moment on, once he gave that speech, this team they truly identified with it, and we're here now looking forward to week 19 for the Eagles.
And another thing that I do want to give Sirianni credit for, and again, not something that we hadn't heard before, more like something we've heard from every single coach who's ever coached in this town or anywhere else for that matter. But from day one, when you guys were out at Eagles training camp, he talked competition. He not only talked the talk, he walked the walk with all his off-schedule competitions and playing volleyball and
tetherball. I forgot about
tetherball and rock, paper, scissors and all that stuff. He laid that groundwork way the hell back in the summertime about this team is going to compete and competition will be the number one facet of this team. Well, they compete every week. They never roll over and die. Yeah, they get off to slow starts, but they finish strong. And this team has been a tremendously competitive team all year. And I think that goes directly to the way the coach set up this team from the beginning of the season on.
It definitely does, because when you look at the successful programs and the successful coaches, you look at the ones that are able to be culture builders. You see so many times that you got names. I mean, when you look at Tressman, when you look at it's a lot March, a lot of those other guys, they were great. They could scheme up any type of offense. You can have a guy who can find a way to get people open, find a way to get pressure. You can have all that stuff. But if they can't create a culture and identity for a team to follow and believe in and have them buy in, it means nothing. And you look at what Sirianni's done. I know he did never call plays when he was with the Colts, but he comes in and he does that. He gets the veterans early on during training camp when they were trying to figure out how to navigate COVID and have practices. He does that. And he continues to build these messages and have the players buy in, and this is what you get as a result. And you have to give hats off to him, and he's successful. He's definitely going to be top 3, I believe, when it comes to Coach of the Year stuff, just based off of that stuff alone, in my opinion.
Well, let's talk about a culture change, Chris, because Nick Sirianni, and it struck me when he used that term calm. The team was so calm on the sidelines, down 16-7, so it was 2 scores. I thought that field goal at the end of the first half, which was one of Nick's few mistakes because he gave Joey Sly the practice kick and he banged through this 55-yarder. And you start saying to yourself, man, maybe this is not going to work out for the Eagles today. And he talked about that calmness. Well, who's more calm than Jalen Hurts? He's getting tumbled on by a bunch of lunatics hanging over the railing after the game. And he's calm as can be. This kid is amazing. When you talk about veteran quarterbacks in this league, I was just talking to Jody before you came on. Doesn't happen often, but particularly against the New York Giants in the Super Bowl, you saw Tom Brady fluster with an interior pass rush. Now it's on the field. You don't see Jalen Hurts get flustered. It's bizarre to me, especially for a young quarterback. Have you ever seen anything like it as far as being even-keeled?
Well, even then, like the only other guy I can think of is Rodgers, but even then you see his fiery moments with the RELAX, relax, and that is it. And you know, when you looking back at it now, Hurts and Sirianni, they complement each other very well. I mean, we've seen on the sidelines at times when a call doesn't go the Eagles' way, you see Sirianni, he lights into the side judge, line judge, and he's the passionate, fiery, emotional one. There was that report earlier in the year about when they were looking at the defensive stuff, so you hear that. But when you have a guy like Hurts who just sits back and is like, oh, we're down 10? All right, we're good. We'll come back. We'll march down the field. Okay. It's almost, and also I think it comes away from his, if I'm looking from a Hurts perspective, I think it comes away from just his background. I think when you look at his ability to what he went through, I mean, just looking at what he's going through. He's going through the quarterback change at Alabama. He's going to another program in Oklahoma. He's going through all these different coaches. He goes through everything. It's like one of those things like, okay, what else can you try to throw at me? I've seen it already. I've seen this. All right, boring. Come on, next. It just seems like he has that calmness is helping him out. I see. I don't know if it's one of the things where Hurts is calming Sirianni more any other way, but frankly, I thought Hurts has done a good job just basically in sharing that around with the rest of the team in those situations.
All right, I want to ask both you guys about the guy, probably the only guy who could match Jalen Hurts in unflappability, and that's Jonathan Gannon on the sidelines. He shows no emotion whatsoever. He's very Hurts-like in that way. And I got the bed reasonable hour. Boom, soon as the Vikings-Packers are over. Got to watch a couple of the TV recaps last night on 6 ABC. Jaws was overhyping the importance of this game against the Cowboys. He says, Cowboys huge and big. I'm going, no, it's going to be the backup guys, George. What the hell are you talking about? Maybe he was doing so I don't know why he was hyping up the game. But John Ritchie, former Eagle player, was on CBS and WIP with Joe DeCamera. He made a good point. I think he oversold it because Richie, for some reason, just doesn't like the Eagles and what they've accomplished this year. But his point was pretty well taken, just oversold. He was getting on the Eagles defense, specifically first half, a couple of weeks in a row now. And he said the reason why other teams are able to take advantage of is Jonathan Gannon doesn't hide anything. They play their defense. They come out, they position themselves where they're going to play defense, back up, don't worry about underneath stuff and the like. And then they stay in that they don't do any misdirection. They don't move any defensive linemen around. They don't try and hide anything, even though Jonathan told us early in the year that's a key, that you want to be able to disguise your defenses, that at least in Richie's opinion, he doesn't do anything to disguise his defense. We did something really well in the second half since they threw a shutout. That's why I thought his critique came up short. You got to give him credit for both halves. If you want to beat him up for the first half, you got to give him credit for the second half. Do you think his criticism is fair, that Jonathan Gannon doesn't do a good enough job disguising the type of defenses he wants to try and run?
I think early on, like early in the games, I think he doesn't uses a lot of disguises early on, but you'll see times where Singleton's on. I see a couple of times where he'll disguise the things. He'll roll up a safety and then drop him back to the opposite diagonal on the other part to cover his own. You'll see it a little bit, but you won't see it a lot. But I harken back to like what was said earlier by the coaches early in the year, and I really think they still hold true. That still holds true, where they want to try to simplify stuff as much as possible to try to let the players get their physical abilities a chance to make some plays. But I think they're at the point now where you can be a little bit more, you can just do more creative blitzes, do more creative coverages because they've gotten used to it. Part of me also wonders if he feels like he has the right personnel to run all that stuff. I think especially at the linebacker level, you started to see, I think Edwards has come in here in place of Eric Wilson, and he's done a lot better. I still wonder if they want another outside linebacker to truly run what he wants to do, and especially a 3-down outside linebacker, because when he mentioned about the guy having agreed on calling his defenses, I think that's important. But overall, I'll just say this: Gannon does a very good job adjusting to what the opposing defense does. I just wish that the defense came out beginning from the first time they're out in the field, getting established, doing what they want to do to impose on the opposing offense as they have the other way, having the opposing offense dictate to the changes they have to make.
All right. Well, Jody went down this wormhole, so I'm going to continue with the JG wormhole. What do people want in the modern NFL, Chris? Entering this game, all right, I'm going to run down the numbers. 5th in total defense, 3rd in yards per play, 9th in rushing defense, 4th in yards per rush defense, 9th in passing defense, 6th in yards per attempt, 4th in 3 and outs, 3rd in stopping explosive plays, top 10 in scoring efficiency. What the heck do they want? Well, I mean, if that's Jim Johnson, if Jim Johnson's name is on that, it's great. If Buddy Ryan's name is on that, it's great. But it's a different era of the NFL. All they want is aggression. All they want is blitz. If you're top 10 in all those categories through 16 weeks, pretty large sample size, how much better can you get with what he has, especially on the back end?
Come on, you got to run a 46. You have to send 7, 8, 9 guys on every play. You have to have 3, 4, 6 guys still in coverage. And oh yeah, you got to make sure you shut out teams every year. That's what everybody wants, but that ain't happening in this thing. I think if this was, I think everybody still looks toward. You mentioned this. Everybody still looks towards 95. I mean, when you look at, especially now, where a lot of generation Eagles fans and growing up, they still remember the Buddy Ryans. They still remember they still remember Schwartz earlier with the wide 9 trying to put pressure. And Gannon's approach seems to be more react, and I think the city is still trying to adjust to it, and I'm putting it nicely when it comes to they're trying to adjust to that play. The way that everybody spreads out now with these spread offenses with the 4 and 5 guys, the completion percentages are going to be up, but it's not going to be anywhere. They shouldn't be around 75, 80%, but you're going to see them in the 60% range. Though I think the matter is he wants to try to, I think he's taking a little bit of Jim Johnson is I'm going to make sure that you don't score me in the red zone. Well, actually, more I'm going to say more Jim Schwartz. I want to make sure you don't. You can move the ball within the 20s, but I'm going to hold you to field goals. That's what I'll do. I think he's taking that approach a little bit more. But for any defensive coach, that God bless whoever wants to be a defensive coach in this year, in this age, wants to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to grow up and be a defensive coordinator. Good luck, because just the way offenses are continuing to evolve is crazy.
All right, Chris, I'm asking you this question on Monday, January 3rd, and it's in reference to Sunday, January 16th, 13 days from now, when the Eagles, yeah, because we've got the upcoming last regular season game, the playoff game, whoever the Eagles going to play in the playoff game. Things can happen to their potential opponents, COVID, injuries, and the like. But assuming their roster is what it is today on Monday for next Sunday, the Eagles could play Tampa, Dallas, Arizona, or Los Angeles. How would you rank those opponents in giving the Eagles the best chance to win the game, or bottom down, most preferable matchup, or least preferable matchup between those four potential opponents for the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs? How would you rank them?
I'd probably say the team I'd probably stay away with the most right now would be the Cowboys, not specifically for the personnel, but it's a team that already knows that would have seen you twice already, and you have to go back down there the following week to see them. I'd probably stay away from there. Even though Gallup's out, I'd probably stay away from the Cowboys just for familiarity standpoint. Then I'd say stay away. Next team would be stay away from the Rams, because although the Eagles' offensive line is their strength, I worry about the Rams trying to move Aaron Donald over Nate Herbig and then trying to exploit that matchup, because Nate's done a really good job, and Stoutland's going to try to do everything he can to protect it up, but I'm a little bit more worried about that. I think the Eagles actually would do match up decently against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, being that Godwin, they don't have Chris Godwin, who's out for the year with his ACL. We all know what happened with Ned Branton, aka Slapshot, Antonio Brown's little soiree, what happened in the end zone. So basically you have Mike Evans, who's banged up a lot. You have Gronkowski and Brate, and the Eagles. We already know the Eagles' history with tight ends. I think they were among the top 5 giving up the most yards, but that's underneath. They won't give up the big play on that aspect. And we saw the way they played. Granted, it was a short week. The Eagles actually played pretty decently, I thought, in my opinion, against Tampa Bay when they played them on that Thursday night game. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm hoping that either Tampa Bay becomes a 2 seed or the Eagles bump up somehow to the 6 seed and Tampa falls to 3, because I think that's
Time out, Philadelphia.
Well, I agree.
Wait a minute.
I know it's Tom Brady.
For that Tampa game, right? At any point, did you think the Eagles had a chance to win that game? Really? You were at that game. You were in that stadium, and you thought they had a chance to beat Tampa? Tampa had control of that game the entire game. John McMullen did a disservice to the GOAT, Tom Brady, by ranking them behind the Cowboys earlier. You've done a major disservice, Franklin, putting them third.
And I wear it with pride.
No, because it's not.
Did you get up? I know you drove home late last night. Are you on your 9th cup of coffee? What the hell? How can you
see the IV of Red Bull behind me? Oh, yeah, I'm doing that big time, because Tom Brady, he'll get the ball. Like, if you look at all these quarterbacks, they're going to get the ball out quickly out their hands no matter who you're going to face against.
You got to have somebody to throw it to.
Yeah,
they have so many injuries. Tom
Brady is good. He's the best all time, and pains to say, especially that one. He's the best all time. He's the best quarterback of all time. But when you look at the supporting cast, you look at compare this supporting cast right now to some of those Super Bowl teams that he has. You don't have two big guys. I think that frees up a safety now, because you can either double Gronk, and then now who are you going to throw to? You got one. I'll feel comfortable with Slade versus Evans.
There was a lot of garbage time points in that game. Tampa Bay was in control of that game, but that was Tampa Bay at full strength. You're not getting Tampa Bay at full strength this time around. But I can't. You forgot Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, give me Cliff Kingsbury if that's an option. That's the guy I want. I'm beating that guy. I'm beating that guy in the playoffs.
I'll say that game is going to be entertaining. I mean, we remember that Arizona game last year
yeah.
where it's basically a
Oh, it'll
shootout.
be entertaining.
It'll be a shootout. I mean,
Yeah.
I think look at the Cardinals, but yeah, I'm still staying steadfast. I think Tampa Bay would be the juiciest matchup for the Eagles, and I'm just saying, I'm not going to put it out there. I'm not making my prediction because I don't know who's playing. I don't see the matchups or anything else. If Nick Sirianni is truly following Frank Reich in that first year when they started off slow and they looked really bad, they made the playoffs. They won their wild card game and played the second round. If they play Tampa Bay, I'd probably put 50-50 right now, maybe 51-49 they win that game. That's where I'm at right now.
You're way Tom will find a way to win the game. That's the problem. Cliff Kingsbury will find a way to lose the game. Tom will find
that
a
too.
way.
That too.
You got a Coles model on the sideline. Nick Sirianni's going to outcoach him. Nick's just doing regional work. You got a Coles model who's like a fifth-degree copy of Sean McVay.
Sorry,
Give me that guy.
I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. Listen, if I see Kingsbury on Peloton,
apologize to Tom Brady, who you're disrespecting.
No. I'm just saying the image of
the greatest of all time. The Eagles have a 51-49 shot over Tom Brady. Man, Franklin, I love you.
I was apologizing. I'm not apologizing for the Buccaneers one. I was apologizing for my image that popped in my head about the Mr. Model Cliff Kingsbury. That's what I was laughing about. I still stand by that one. And I've been called nuts by many of people. So many times for many certain things. So I'm like, I'm used to it by now. Man.
We're right on Dallas, though. I don't want any part of Dallas. You're the familiarity. I just don't think the Eagles match up well. Now, Michael Gallup, that injury hurts the Cowboys because that's one of the reasons. I mean, when you have Cooper and Lamb and Gallup, it's like, all right, what the heck are we going to do? And then the backs aren't bad either, and the tight ends aren't bad. I just don't like that matchup from a style perspective. You're more of the style doesn't work against who? For the Eagles, the worst opponent, the worst matchup. It's the Cowboys. But you mentioned something else. Aaron Donald, that was it. So the Rams with Aaron Donald, but nobody can block Aaron Donald. So that's kind of baked in when you play with the Rams. But you also have the opportunity. My biggest concern with the Rams would be Cooper Kupp. How do you deal with Cooper Kupp?
The only thing I could think of is that you're going to have to play a lot of press, but then even then, they're going to have to move a lot of motion. They're going to probably motion them away and find unique ways to get them the ball that way. You're going to have to see a lot of zone, which to me, we've seen this team with the zone part because you want to make sure you keep everything in front of them.
I don't like that.
So it could be a death by 1,000 paper cuts with Stafford just picking apart every 7-8 yards a pop. And then they throw in the run game there because you may have Cam Akers back for that game too. So I think the only way you can basically cover Cooper Kupp is you're going to have to shade somebody, but you're not only have to probably play man-to-man on him, but just shade a safety that way or play a heavy zone, and that just plays right into what the Rams want you to do. So that Rams matchup, that would be really tough as well too. Very, very tough. And you have to go to the West Coast, so that factor that in.
Let me let you roll out your crystal ball looking into this third preseason game matchup between the Cowboys and the Eagles on Saturday night.
Okay.
We know it'll probably be a Kenneth Gainwell game because you're not getting Miles Sanders. You're probably going to see Howard take the day off. I think the only reason why he played was because they needed the game as desperately as they did. And he just didn't look Jordan Howard like, and thank you, Boston Scott, for stepping up big and delivering the way you did. They might want to protect Boston Scott a little bit here just in case, too. Kerryon Johnson Day? Who else is going to get the football other than Kenneth Gainwell coming up on Saturday against the Cowboys?
I'd really want to see Jason Huntley. I really, truly do, because what he did when we were looking at before he got that, I think it was a rib injury in training camp, he was looking really good. Running toward the outside, he looked decisive. He showed that quickness that he not only that he had on the kick returns, but back in college, but he showed quickness getting on the outside. And I would truly want to see him toting the rock a couple times to see, has he developed? Has he improved as as a pass blocker. I want to see his ability to catch in the backfield because I really truly want, and I want to really see him on kick returns because I think he could be really dynamic, but just hasn't had the shot or proven that he can basically take one of these running back spots away because the team's so deep in those positions. So I agree with you. I think they should rest Scott because it could be a similar situation if they have to go into a wild card game or just in case just to rest him because he took a lot of physical pounding in the division game like that. So I'm really curious to see. I think everybody knows what they have in Kerryon Johnson, but I really kind of excited to actually see what they can do with Jason Huntley if they bring him up.
All right, Chris, last one from me. We got caught up in a wormhole of the playoffs. I want to talk just real quick about yesterday's game and make sure you read Chris at nj.com and also our buddy Mike K. They do a great job. But Boston Scott, I'm amazed. I brought this up with Jody. I want to get your take on it. Boston Scott is the third team running back on this team. And obviously Miles is out. Jordan Howard is not 100%. The Eagles lean on him. And the 2 touchdowns were on 4th downs after they bailed on 4th down early in the game. Who do you give credit for that situation? In those high leverage situations, the head coach, the third string running back, the offensive line, why the confidence? There's not many teams that would hand the ball off to a third string running back in those types of situations.
You have to go to the offensive line in that aspect because I think if you had even a questionable line, I think you're punting or kicking a field goal, especially on that down in the goal line. Look, when the fact that they went to that right side, and in fact they went to the right side of Hall too, because the left side, thinking with Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, get the power. They went to the right side, which Lane Johnson's playing very well, and they got Herbig, who was limping at sometimes during that game as well too.
Yeah,
so
he had to come out for a little while.
Yeah, it was about to say a word we had seen Brett Toth time, but good thing because they didn't do it. But I think overall you have to go look at the offensive line in that aspect. I mean, Sirianni was uncharacteristically aggressive yesterday on 4th down. I mean, usually he stays on the side of, okay, I don't want to jeopardize field position. I want to punt in situations like that. But 3 times to work on 4th down and it could be successful. You got to also give credit to Scott a little bit, but mainly the offensive line. But you give credit to Scott to have the nose and that instinct and that determination to want to find the goal line and pick up those downs. Because too many times you see guys they get the ball on 4th down, they start dancing, looking around, going, maybe I can find a cutback lane here. No, he knew where he wanted to go. He was decisive. He accelerated at the right time and dove. And to me, and also going back to the 4th down to goal line when he did toss play, how Hurts was able to fall back and still throw that ball over to get it to Scott in there. To be honest, looking back, I'm like, well, this is over, or this is a fumble, and they're taking it back the other way. But to still get it back there, throw it back there, get it right on target for Scott to pick it up, and then for Scott to run across the goal line, and then dive across the goal line. That play is just that was crazy. If they ever have one of those like highlight videos that you see like at the end of the year, the NFL films used to do to say the 2021 Eagles, blah blah blah. I think that's going to make its way in there.
It was Reuben Frank who had the numbers, and I knew I read this somewhere this morning. In the last 3 years, Boston Scott has 16 carries inside the 5-yard line. He scored 11 touchdowns on 16 carries. That's 67%. That's ungodly. There isn't a running back in the league who's been as good percentage-wise in scoring touchdowns. Only a couple quarterbacks have been better than him scoring from that. Oh, no, I believe, and I guarantee you, if it's a quarterback, it's from inside the 1, not inside the 5. But who else was he going to give it to? If Sirianni had given it to somebody else, shame on him. All right, last thing, Chris. Let me just get this last one in because it's very important. I'm doing it with my tongue very implanted in cheek. The percentage chance the Eagles claim Antonio Brown off waivers for playoff purposes.
Well, if you go to Twitter and everybody's clamoring, going, "Hey, you know what? You get this, he can add 0, 0, not touching with a 10-foot
there's
pole."
a percentage Eagle fans that want him.
By the way,
get Jalen Reagor off the field. If you won't put Greg Ward in there, well, maybe Antonio Brown.
I'm going to give Eagles fans credit, Chris. I haven't gotten that question. I'm very impressed.
I haven't gotten the question. I've seen a couple posts on there.
Right.
I've seen a couple
So
tweets.
the
I'm like,
biggest
please,
idiot
no.
in town is me.
no.
Since
I-
that stamps me as the biggest idiot in town. I'll wear that. I'll eat that if I have to.
Right.
Not a problem.
I'm impressed. I was expecting to get it, but I'm impressed. Maybe when it actually happens, maybe we'll get the question.
He could take it to. I can see right now. He could take it to the house. Why aren't they putting him in? They should claim him right now. They have the cap space. No. And getting back to the Boston Scott, I just thought about this too. You really look at it. It's almost like playing whack-a-mole because you have a guy who's 5'6" behind that big thing. You got to pick a hole. I see him. Nah, he's in the end zone. Goes right way. It's tough to see which way it goes. That's what makes it tough to find him down there. And we gotta get there, but he finds the crack and he runs right behind it. It's crazy. It's uncanny how he's able to do it.
See, Franklin, despite the fact that you Tom Brady today and you got to reestablish your love life after canceling on your female on Saturday night, we still love you just the same, and we will certainly get you on as we make the Eagles playoff run. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thank you. It's for the love of the game, not the love of everything else. It's for
not the love of Antonio Brown. That's for damn sure. Chris, thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, coming back, putting a bow on the show here on Birds 365 next.